Ponderers, welcome to the channel. I am Steph Smart and this is Smart Ponders. Today's video is a podcast recording and it is for the blog titled I See, Visualizing and What It Can Do for You. Yep, we are heading into wanky territory with this, so buckle up. Those of you who know me will be all too familiar with the term wanky, but for those of you who don't know me that well yet, fear not, I am not about to leave you out. So the term wanky is one that I use instead of pretentious. It's a term used fairly often to point in past drama classes, students kept a wanky count, a note of how many times I'd say wanky throughout the class. So maybe you could go back to the start of this and do your own wanky count. If you do that, let me know in the comments below. Anyway, today's ponder is all about visualization. Now, I know a couple of posts back I talked about embracing the journey and that life was really about the destination. If you haven't read that blog or listened to the podcast, I would encourage you to do so. However, today is about creating the destination, so visualizing that end goal or that end point that you want to reach. After all, without a vision, how can you have a focus? So I shall articulate my meaning by reflecting back to the days of me and my learner motorbike, Enyo. As part of the learning journey to achieve my full licence, which I now have, I had to learn how to do a slalom and a figure of 8 on the motorbike. Now, time and time again, I'd fail, losing my balance or putting my foot down, which are big no-nos for the test. I was practicing all the time in any car park or space that I could find, but something just wasn't right. Something wasn't clicking into place. And it wasn't until my instructor, shout out to Kevin, said to visualize the end goal and focus my intention on the end cone, not each cone as I got to it. Now, yes, before anyone points out, this could be seen as a contradiction to what I've previously said in the Embracing the Journey post. But if you account for the slalom as being one part of the greater journey in getting the licence, and the fact I'm still embracing the process, I think I just get away with it. So back to the cones. The advice that Kevin gave me in that moment proved to be the key that unlocked the next level up, so to speak. So the next time I tried the slalom, I nailed it. And so I did it again to make sure it wasn't a fluke. And again, nailed it. And again, and again. I got it right every time from then on. All because my focus was on the end cone and not each cone as I was approaching it. So I was visualizing the maneuver before it had happened and visualizing that end goal. So what is visualization? So visualization is a tool of the imagination. It's the ability to focus on something in your mind so clearly with such strong belief and minute detail that you can arguably bring it into being. Now, before you all start rolling your eyes at me, please bear in mind that I am chatting about this primarily from the perspective of a drama lecturer, whereby most of the work I do is around the imagination. Imagining something and then bringing it into life, whether that's characters, stories, ideas. It's also visualization. So as part of acting training, students are taught the basics of visualization. They're taught the basic of most acting approaches, and through their own practice and exploration, they can then choose what they stick with and what doesn't work for them. And visualization, for the most part, is one that becomes a staple in the actor's toolkit. So thinking of visualization beyond the rehearsal room, it's the same principle as having a vision, setting a goal, or having a destination in mind. The main difference is that you can see it as clear as day. There's such a strong sense of certainty that it's going to happen that you couldn't possibly argue with yourself. And I'm saying this as someone who argues with herself on a regular basis. Now, it takes practice, and there are exercises that you can do to help you develop the skill set. So maybe that's another blog or video topic for a later date. But when it works, it really works. I mean, how else do you think people create something from nothing? You can do the same. It all comes down to having the vision and the belief in the vision. So what does it mean to create a vision? The idea of a vision is, aside from, definition of eyesight, having vision, comes from the world of business. So when first planning a business, you set out the following. Number 1, the mission, who you are, what you stand for, and what you offer to the world. Number 2, the vision. Where do you want to be in the future? What are you working towards? Number 3, the aims. So these are the things that you set out to do or to provide. That's the what you'll do, and that links into the mission. And then you have number 4, the objectives. That's the steps that you will take to achieve the aims. So the aims being what you're going to do, and the objectives being how you're going to do it and how you're going to measure its success. Okay. So the vision is all about the future, acknowledging that right now in the presence, you can and do have the power to imagine what your future could be like, where you want to be, what you want to be doing, who you want to be doing it with. That's the vision. The biggest challenge is believing that you can have it. That's the visualization. So how can visualization be useful? And I know there will be some people either listening to the podcast, watching the YouTube channel, or indeed reading the post, who I've lost, who will not be on board with this blog. And that's totally fine. I am under no illusion that not every post is going to resonate with everyone. That's just not how we as human beings function. But what I am doing is sharing my experience and my thoughts on it. And that's what it's all about. However, the imagination is a powerful tool, regardless of your belief in visualization. Think back to when you were growing up. Imagination, make-believe, role-play, world-building, it's all connected. I know when I think back to the imaginary friends that I had growing up, I believed without a shadow of a doubt that they were real. That belief was present through, playing with Barbies, playing schoolies, when I pretend to be a teacher and the dolls I had were pupils. I know I am not the only one here that did that. And even when playing, with friends, one of the games that we played was through role play of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And it was all real, but in my head and in the heads of my friends. Did it matter for 1 second that none of us were dressed like Power Rangers when we played? No. We saw in our heads and committed to it. There was never any doubt whether it was Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles or Power Rangers or, whatever the game was. The role play felt real. And I guess that's the difference now, isn't it? We've lost the belief and the magic in the what could be, the unwavering belief in what we can't see. Becoming the adults we are today, we're often impeded by fear and doubt, and it stops the joy. It stops the creativity, and most importantly, it stops the imagination. Well, I, for one, think it's time to reclaim the imagination. So if you've made it this far, you deserve a gold star. But instead, here's a challenge for you. Take 20 minutes with a blank sheet of paper in a quiet space and ask yourself, what could your future look like? What is within your control? Let your mind wander and write it all down, no matter how wild or how wacky it might be. Write it all down. And acknowledge that each one of those are possibilities. You might not know how they're a possibility, but acknowledge that they are possibilities. Then pause and smile, because that's your starting point right there. That's the beginning of your vision and your visualization. This has been a Smart Ponders. I'd love to hear, like what you think about it all. Is visualization something that you have had experience in? Is this sounding like a load of nonsense? I'd love to know what your opinions and what your thoughts are. So comment below, and I would love if you could subscribe to the channel, give the video a thumbs up, and I will hopefully see you all in the next video.